Hello, peace seekers. This is Saniqua White popping in to give you a piece of my mind, to hopefully give you some peace of mind. Today, I want to ask you a question. Are you a negative Nancy and you don't know it? What do I mean by that? What is a negative Nancy? A negative Nancy can be thought of as a person who is pretty much pessimistic and negative most of the time. Almost everything that comes out of your mouth is negative. If somebody says, "Oh, I went to see that movie," you're like, "Oh, I heard that wasn't good. That probably won't be that good. You probably don't want to go see that." Or if somebody tried a new restaurant, "Oh, I heard that was awful. Did you see the reviews on that? I don't even know about that place. Why would you go there?" Like everything that somebody says, you have something negative to say about it. If it's not you, do you know somebody who is a negative Nancy, but they don't know it? So what I want to talk about is how to identify if you are that person or if you're around that type of person, and how to start to shift in the other direction, because it's going to take some time. If that is kind of your personality, if that is who you've become, just know that it doesn't have to be who you remain, but it is difficult to get out of the habit of doing that because it comes so naturally. So if that's you, or if you know somebody who's a negative Nancy and doesn't know it, I want you to think about some things in how to recognize it. Like I just said, if most of the time when somebody says something to you, your comment is adverse or the opposite or on the negative end of whatever the conversation is, you may be a negative Nancy. If your thought process goes to the bad end of things, or what could happen and why we shouldn't do things and why that won't work, and if your mind automatically goes in that direction, you are a negative Nancy and you don't know it. So thinking about how you respond to people, just review some of the last couple of conversations that you've had with people. We text a lot, we use social media a lot, so you can probably go back and track yourself. Just go and look at your text messages, go and look at your Instagram posts, and see what you're saying, what you're responding to, and analyze yourself. Are most of your responses on the negative side of things, on the opposite side of things? If that's the case, then you might be a negative Nancy and you haven't realized it. So one thing that you can start doing is looking at, if someone says something about a restaurant that you haven't even tried, before your mind goes to, "Ugh, I heard about that," why don't you say, "Haven't been there before, let me know how it goes." So you can still be skeptical. You can still be a little pessimistic about it. You can still be a little, "I don't know about that." But what you say out of your mouth is what you can change. You don't have to put your negative energy out to or on other people while you're working on this. So this could be a first step. Whenever you hear something and your first cue is to say something negative or against that or opposite of that, try and change your language. Or either just don't say anything at all, because you thought it. You already did, because it's automatic right now. So you thought about it, but you don't have to say it. Even if you can't think of something in the reverse, in the positive to say, then just don't say anything at all, even if you thought it. That way you don't put it out there. But here are some ideas where when you're ready to start looking at things on the positive end, you can actually go neutral first. Like I just said, if someone's going to see a movie that you may or may not have heard negative reviews about, but your first instinct is to say, "I don't know about that," or "That may not be the best movie," or "Why don't you see something else?" Whatever your normal lingo, whatever your normal language would be, if you go neutral, you're just saying, "Oh, okay, hey, let me know how that goes." Simple enough. You didn't have to put your opinion on it. because it's your opinion that's the negative thing that's happening. It's whether it's the truth or it isn't. Your opinion is the part that makes you the negative Nancy. So until you can change that part, your opinion, your negative talk, you can go neutral. Oh, let me know how that goes. Interesting. Let me know. Neutral. You didn't give it a thumbs up. You didn't give it a thumbs down. So you're training yourself not to speak the negative energy even while you're still thinking it. Eventually, you will train yourself to think in neutral, where you go, sounds interesting. Let me know how it goes, until you finally get to the point where, hey, that sounds like fun. Maybe I'll tag along. Let's check it out. So there are phases that you can go to, but first you have to recognize and acknowledge and admit whether or not you are a negative Nancy and you don't know it, because most negative Nancys don't know it. It's automatic. You feel like you're a positive person because you feel like telling the person, oh, that may not work out for them. You feel like you're being helpful, you're being supportive. Really, in actuality, you're being negative. You just don't realize that that's what it is. So analyze, go back through your text messages, go back through your Instagram posts or whatever social media you use, and look at the things that you've been saying over the past couple of weeks. If the majority of your talk is in the negative direction, you may be a negative Nancy and you don't know it. So remember, if you find that you are, go neutral first, because it's not going to be very easy for you to switch over to positive. You may get that, but most of the time you won't. You can try to go positive, definitely, but your goal at first is to go neutral and then work your way up to positive. Now, this is not to say that if your true opinion just happens to be the opposite of what somebody else is thinking, if that's really your true opinion, fine. But I'm talking to the people who every opinion that they have, or almost every opinion that they have, is on that side of the spectrum. Those are the people that I'm talking to. If that's you, then I'm talking to you. I want you to be able to recognize it for yourself, because it's a lot more painful if somebody has to tell you that you're a negative Nancy. If you can see it in yourself first, and you can start to correct it. That way, if anybody says it, you can say, you can acknowledge it. I realize that I'm working on it. So remember, analyze, go back over your messages, figure out if that's you. If it is you, acknowledge it, admit it, and begin going neutral. After your brain has shifted to neutral, where neutral is mostly your thought process rather than negative, then once you hit neutral well, you can flip over and start going into positive. And this will help you in your relationships, in your work life, in your thought processes, which you have to think every day. It will help you feel better mentally and emotionally, because if you are a negative Nancy and you haven't realized it, you are probably a person who is down a lot, feeling kind of sad, maybe even depressed, also possibly anxious a lot, and you don't realize what your brain is doing. And if you can start training your brain to go in the opposite direction, some of those things, some of those emotions that you feel on a regular basis will start to change as well. So I hope this video has been helpful. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe. I'll be back soon with more. Until then, be proactive about your mental health. Be well, and God bless.